Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, we are from Group 7. We are going to make a presentation about reader responses. Chapter 8, Reader's Horizons of Expectations. And the Group 7 consists of myself, Faiz Zamzam, and my friend Fatiha Lya Sefira. And from the first topic is describe the three connections of literary history, literature, and the reader. Jaws tries to bridge the gap between literature and history, between aesthetic and historical approaches. Jaws actually expected that to develop a systemic theory of literary deception. The theory that developed got a fairly slow development because at that time, the theory was contrary to existing habits. Society still cannot fully accept the process of involving readers in a literary work because at that time, the giver of meaning was the author. The meaning of literary works stretches over time and is actualized in historical moments where the horizons of the times meet the public horizons of the readers. The historical life of a literary work cannot exist without the active participation of its recipient. In this case, the reader only goes through the process of da'wah that literary words enter the horizon of experience, which is always changing from simple acceptance to critical understanding, from passive acceptance to active discipline, from aesthetic norms that are ready to be produced into works of art, dominating new literary works. And the next topic is describe the concept of aesthetic of reception according to Jaws. The relationship between literary works and readers has aesthetic value as well as historical value. This means that the aesthetic meaning lies in the fact that the reader's first acceptance of a literal work involves examining its aesthetic value compared to the literary work that has been read. The clear historical implication of this is that the understanding of the first readers will be preserved and enriched in the chain of reception from generation to generation.
Hi, my name is Fatiha Lya Sefira. What is the function of the aesthetic of reception in criticism? Aesthetic reception is the quality of beauty that arises as a result of the relationship between literary work and readers. The function of aesthetic reception is to close the balance literary history and sociology of the research, which use the aesthetic method of reception because it is made to easily play a role in axioms. Aesthetic reception also serves to contribute to the development of literary work as a whole. The main reason that can be found in the fact that criticism is based on clear theories and methods, so that what the author used to improve his work, both in writing and orally, and also the aesthetic understanding of a work can be accounted for. In this case, criticism is not carried out by individuals, but by critics throughout its history. And the first acceptance of the work by the reader includes a test of its aesthetic value compared to the work that has been read.
And now the topics number 4 is describe Jaws 7 thesis as the process of the aesthetic of reception. The thesis 1. A renewal of literary history demands the elimination of the prejudices of historical objectivism and the traditional aesthetic foundation of production and representation in the aesthetics of reception and influence. It can be assumed that a work is not literally a monument that has only one person interpretation or one meaning, but that each viewer is free to have more interpretations, to have a different interpretation of the literary work they enjoy. Thesis 2. Analysis of the reader's literary experience avoids the psychological trap that threatens to describe the reception and influence of the work in the system of objectified expectation that arise for each work in the historical moment of its emergence from the pre-understanding of the literary works. Thesis 3. If one characterizes as the aesthetic distance, the difference between a given horizon of hope and the appearance of a new work whose acceptance can rest in a changing horizon through the negation of a familiar experience, or through the elevation of a newly articulated experience to a level of consciousness, then this aesthetic distance can be objectively objectified. Historically, along the spectrum of audience reaction and critic, I spontaneously manage to refute or surprise approval of a well-tread or understanding of what aesthetic distance is, as we expect some literal works to have a plot like this, but when we read a bit, the work is slightly different from our expectations. So in avoiding the disparity, in avoiding distance, I mean we can change our expectation or create a new hope. Thesis 4. Full reconstruction of the horizon of hope in which a work was created and accepted in the past, allowing one, on the other hand, to ask questions to which the text provides answers and thereby discover how contemporary readers could have seen and understood the work. This approach corrects the norm that partly measure is not recognized from the understanding of thesis art or modernization and avoids circular resources. Circularity courses to the general spirit of the times that it brings to see the hermeneutic difference between previous understanding and current understanding of work. Thesis 5. Theories of aesthetic receptions not only allows one to understand this understanding but also requires one to incorporate individual works into the meaning and form of literary works in the historical disclosure of literary sequences to recognize their historical position and significance in life. Thesis of 6. Achievements achieved in linguistics through the distinction and methodological penchant for diachronic and synchronic analysis is an opportunity to tackle iconic perspectives that were previously only practiced in literature as well. The last seven theses. The task of literary history is thus only completed when literary production is not only represented synchronically and in the succession of its system, but also seen as special history in its own unique relationship. To a general history, this relationship does not end with the fact that A type B fight idealized satire or utopian image literature, or the literary work have to have the social existence can be found in the literature of all the time, in brief, the value in it.
Why does choose see the horizon of expectation as the important part in criticism? Because horizon expectation see a very perfection and give a significant observations that in the will interpret a text and understand the text based on the knowledge and experience gained from interaction with the other texts previously or that have been read. But if the literary work doesn't live up to the reader's expectation, they agree and maybe don't finish it, which is then what they didn't expect.
I think that's all from us. Thanks for the attention, and I apologize for our mistakes. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.